There is one additional big picture concept unique to shape layers that you should be aware of, and that is how it deals with transformations. Each layer has a set of transformation properties, meaning anchor point, position, scale, rotation, and opacity. However, shape layers have the added complexity of having their own additional transform controls. Here, let's see how multiple transformations at the layer, group, and shape levels can affect the end results of our animation. Let's step into the second composition. And here you can see that we have a hierarchy of sorts. We've got the topmost layer level. Underneath that, we've got the group level. And within that, we have the shape level. So that's to say that if we have animation playing at the shape and group level, all of that goes along for the ride when we add animation to our layer level. To see that in action, let's step into this third comp. And I've got an animation here for the square, triangle, and circle. And that's all happening at the layer level. So when we pause this and take a look at what's going on in our square layer, I'll twirl down my transform properties, and I've got keyframes here for the position and rotation. Let's select all three of these and hit U on the keyboard to reveal properties with keyframes. And there's our animation at the layer level. Next, we'll take a look at the group and shape transformation levels. I've got one layer here that contains all three shapes of our square, circle, and triangle. At the moment, I've only got animation for the triangle, and that's happening inside the triangle itself. When we open this, we have all five of our usual suspects for anchor point, position, scale, rotation, and opacity. However, we also have skew and skew axis. So we're able to animate that as well. I'll undo this. Technically, the triangle is already in a group of its own. We've got the polystar path and gradient fill components. Those live inside the triangle group, which then gives us the transform for the entire triangle. If we dive in further to the polystar path component, you'll note that we have position and rotation properties for this shape. So since we can't dive any further, this is the lowest level. This is the shape level. We can animate here. We can animate one level above it for the triangle group and one level above that at the layer level. Let's add some animation at the shape level. I'll come up here to my square. Inside there, we have the rectangle path, and underneath it, we have its own position property. Let's rewind to the beginning and add a keyframe for the position. And at about frame 10, let's move this up in the y-axis. And at frame 20, we'll come back down to 0. And we'll just copy paste these keyframes to create a looped position animation. We'll go down to frame 40, paste again, and our animation will end at frame 60. So now when we play this back, you can see our square is just bouncing around. And lastly, let's take all of these shapes and let's group them. So I'll select all three of the shapes and we'll right click and say Group Shapes. Now that we've done that, we have a brand new set of transformation properties for the group itself. Here in this case, I'll set a keyframe for the position for the group. And at frame 20, let's move this off to the side, maybe over here. And at frame 40, we'll move it over this way. And at frame 60, let's go back to where we started. I'll just copy paste this keyframe here. With the top layer selected, I'll hit U on the keyboard to grab access to all my keyframes. And what I'll do is select them all. And we'll right click, we'll go to Keyframe Assistant and say Easy Ease. Now, I'll go into this in a later video, but basically what this does is taper the animation so that we have a less robotic or less stiff animation. Instead, we have something that feels a little bit more organic, a little bit more lifelike. And that's how adjusting transformation at the layer, group, and shape levels can drastically affect our animations. Knowing about this concept can open up for greater animation possibilities later down the line.